After a month's break, we are back with the Michelin Le Mans Cup event because the opening round for this particular series took place in Barcelona on the 17th of April. And then when the rest of the European Le Mans Series campus, circus, made their way to the Styrian Mountains in Austria, sadly, we didn't take the Michelin Le Mans Cup series with us. But that has become sort of the way things are done in recent years. They always tend to sit out one race of the ELMS, and therefore it is great this weekend to have them back on the calendar. My name's Johnny Palmer. Delighted to say that I'm joined by the editor of dailysportscar.com, Graham Goodwin, and near perfect conditions, Graham, in the south of France right now. Looking forward to 2 doses of qualifying for the Michelin Le Mans Cup. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. And yes, it's great to be here. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And yes, 25 degrees in the air in the south of France. Beautiful weather. Ideal conditions for those watching, maybe a little steamy for those actually driving, so they'll be grateful for the fact that it is going to be another quick-fire qualifying session. 33 cars for this weekend's action, Johnny, and some changes around, a couple of additional cars added to the GT numbers, and one additional car as well, with some other changes in LMP3. There is the fairly recently resurfaced Mistral Straight. Of course, this now the home for the French Grand Prix, making its comeback just a couple of years ago to the F1 calendar, and very welcome back it was too. Those abrasive strips, the red and blue strips to the inside, pointing to this track's recent history as an advanced test track.
We have, of course, in the past, talking about the Mistral Straight, used the chicane in other years of the ELMS, but not this time. So we're running with the 5.7 kilometre configuration. Very tight and technical in sectors 1 and 3, and then you've got the open expanses of the Mistral Straight in sector 2. Therefore, to set a car up to go well around this place is a real balancing act.
It most certainly is, and wide open spaces it looks like, but it can be tight and technical, and it is somewhere where track limits still are observed by Eduardo Freitas and the race control officials. Here is the number 1 Porsche. Nicky Leutwiler it will be, taking to the track for the qualifying session to come. This is usually the only Porsche for GT3, but not this weekend, Johnny, because we've got not 1 but 2 cars from Herbeth Motorsport, the reigning champions now, of course, in the Asia Le Mans Series in GT with a GT3 car, and at the moment, so my German colleagues tell me, having some thoughts and discussions with the ACO about just which car they will take to the Le Mans 24 Hours with that entry that they earned through that win.
And Herbert with some very good history, recent history around Circuit Paul Ricard as well, having won 24-hour events around here. And it's very interesting to see that their regular 24-hour driver lineup's actually been split across 2 cars. So you've got the twin brothers, Robert and Alfred Renauer, one rated as a gold by the ACO, that is Robert Renauer, and his brother Alfred, who is a silver. And then you've got the 2 bronze drivers who must take part in this qualifying session, Ralph Bone in 91 and Daniel Alleman in 92. But as you say, great to have a couple more Porsche 911 GT3Rs as part of the entry.
Yeah, remains to be seen whether or not this is a one-off for the team. They tried a Ferrari, which is the car at the moment. They're entered for the Le Mans 24 Hours, tried one at the 12,000 Hockenheim a couple of weekends ago. But, as I say, now investigating whether or not there might be a GT Porsche or even an Aston Martin that could replace that if the ACO agree to that shift in chassis. Still do like this beautiful blue 51 Ferrari.
Yeah, very cool, from AF Corsa, and Ken Arbate, who is the bronze, sharing with Matteo Cressoni. So the drill for this qualifying session, as I say, it is split between GT3 and the LMP3s, and although we do have 7 GT3 cars, it'll be a very busy track indeed by the time we get to the LMP3 session, because that's 26 cars and the sessions are only 15 minutes. Bear in mind, the first 2 minutes of those will be spent getting the car out onto track and doing your out lap, and the time disappears very quickly, especially if you want to do a run, then a tyre change, and then another quick run as well. So 15 minutes sounds like a long time on paper. It will not last long at all.
And Johnny, as we've said previously with the Michelin Le Mans Cup and the bronze drivers in particular, a quick look there of the Iron Dames making their season debut in the Michelin Le Mans Cup after missing Barcelona with some illness in the team. But what we see throughout the sessions, these quickfire sessions in Michelin Le Mans Cup with the bronze drivers, is constant improvements in time. They are here to learn. This is the, if you like, the first step on the ladder, the pyramid, call it what you will, of international endurance racing, and we will see those times coming down and down and down through these 15 minutes.
And that's kind of one of the unique selling points of this championship, is that if you are a driver wanting to bring through a talent from maybe business, maybe not having raced particularly in the early life, but wanting to get into motorsport in somebody's 30s, 40s and 50s, then you find yourself a very quick racing driver who can hopefully coach you, and often that coaching driver can serve as a bit of an agent role as well, suggesting where to go to do your racing. This is not unique, but there are very few options where so much responsibility is put on the bronze driver's shoulders, including lots of running in free practice, and then the responsibility of where the car is positioned on the grid. And I think from an agent point of view, they go, hey, pay attention to the Michelin Le Mans Cup series, because that will offer you something that maybe is absent in other parts of the motorsport discipline. Puts you on a real rock-solid footing for then moving up the ladder within ACO rules racing too.
Absolutely. We're going to have some names you're going to be hearing in the next 15 minutes that you should look forward to seeing and hearing in the European Le Mans Series this year, next year, or beyond. And then beyond that, into the WEC, and I've no doubt the Le Mans 24 Hours to come. But who we get out there in the GT3 number 1 car? That's the Zubera Zugse by TFT Porsche. That is Niki Leutwiler. Lorino Mastronardi is out there in the Iron Lynx Ferrari number 8. The number 9 car will be Sarah Bovey in the Iron Dames car. Ken Arbe, as we said, in the 51 AF Corsa. Frank Deserteur in the 61 AF Corsa car, and then in the 2 Herbeth cars, Ralph Byrne in the 91 and Daniel Aleman in the 92 car. They are the septet out on Circuit Paul Ricard right now.
3 sectors. Remember, the first sector is that S-bend at Verrerie, and then into Virage L'Hôtel, and that awkward sort of 3, 4 and 5 sequence that if you get the first bit wrong, then you can almost scrap the whole lap. Because it needs to be the right sort of rhythm between the right, the left, the right-hander, then through 6 and 7. 6 is just as you're feeding the throttle back in again. 7 easily flat, the left-hand kink onto the Mistral straight, and then you just open the throttle up and let the car do its business. It would be wise, I think, maybe in these GT cars that rely more on the mechanical grip, to maybe find someone to run with to help give you a bit of a tow. But with 7 cars in the session, that could be a little tricky, but be wary of how fast you might be approaching senior corner, particularly if you've managed to find that helping hand, into the right-hander at senior, into the double right at Beausset, and then some awkward corners to finish the lap as well, designed to be almost mistake-inducing. That's the reason why this place was for so long simply just a test track before it started to hold, again, some crucial international meetings in the last 20 years. Virage du Lac, Virage du Pont at the end of the lap, also very crucial to getting a good time across the line. So Franck Deserteur heading into this final corner at Virage du Pont. 35.7 seconds through the first sector, and then just over a minute. He easily goes fastest because that's the first flying lap that we have had. But let's see what Rino Mastronardi can do.
But I think he's lost that.
I think you're right.
Limits. I think he's immediately lost its track limits. Good morning, Eduardo Freitas.
Yes.
Clearly had his espresso this morning.
The in-tray is busy already.
Absolutely.
Ralph Bone, meanwhile, in the number 91 Herbert Motorsport car, could be about to go to the top. Ken Arbe does a 2:02.426, and that does appear to be a legal lap. As Ralph Bone goes through and is much faster, almost 5 seconds quicker, in fact, for his Herbert Motorsport Porsche with the red door mirrors and red roof. So 91 Ralph Bone quickest, Ken Arbe second fastest, and then it is Niki Leutwiler having just done a 2:16. That's more of a banker lap and suggests maybe a half spin on the initial effort for the Swiss. The PZ Obera Zurichsee car will have plenty more laps to improve on that.
Yeah, Sarah Bovey comes through second quickest, still not under 2 minutes quite yet, but that, I think, those times are going to be coming down, and down by a chunk. Not a surprise Ralph Byrne is the quickest this early. As you said, plenty of experience for this Herbert team in this car, on this track and in these conditions. So we'd expect them to be pretty quick, but that bodes well for the bronze driver. watching for where Rino Mastronardi will emerge here. For me, the standout favourites in this session. It's now Herbert 1-2 because Daniel Aleman goes through to 156.688. Just over a second up on teammate Ralph Byrne, 92 from 91 now. Then the Iron Dames, the Iron Lynx number 9 car, still no lap time. And as I say, it comes through. It's a 2:10 from Rino Mastronardi. That's either a troubled lap or an establishing lap. Here comes Sarah Bovy. Great to see the Iron Dames back with a new look squad this year in Michelin Le Mans Cup.
Yeah, that is puzzling, isn't it, regarding Mastronardi's lap? I'm just trying to drill through into the sector times. Nothing, well, he's lost about 4 seconds in the final sector, so I think you're right in that he's just trying to... Yeah, maybe so, just backing off in order to mean that the track in front of him, immediately in front of him, is clearer. He could have found a bit of traffic on that lap, so wise to just do that early on in the session with still 8 minutes to go.
1:59.009 from the number 61 Ferrari of Frank Deserter. Frank Deserter goes briefly third, but Nicky Lertweiler improves to a 1:56.219. Makes it a Porsche 1-2-3 at the moment, the two from the 92 and the 91.
Yeah, it does look like the Porsche is very happy around the swoops and curves of Le Castellet, also clearly offering good speed as well down the Mistral straight, because all three Porsches are well down into the 30 seconds there for that middle sector. 30.3 for Lertweiler, 30.2 for Daniel Aleman. And there's only 0.4 of a second between the two Swiss drivers. And
a further improvement indeed from Sarah Bovy there. Goes fourth quickest ahead of the 61 car now, the number 9 Iron Lynx Iron Dames car, 1:58.353, but more to come there too. Still waiting to see what we're going to get here though from Rino Mastronardi.
He hasn't quite shown all his cards yet.
He hasn't, has he?
And down in 7th position, so has he had a lap deleted as well? Well, the 2:10 was slower, as we made the point. He's 10 seconds off Ken Arbe's effort, but that was not a clear lap, as we've said, and I think deliberately slow towards the end of it. So 36.6 is not quite on it either, and he's just gone through to do a 2:01.3. That's much better. Doesn't get him off the foot of the table quite yet, but we are going in the right direction now for the defending champion. Yeah,
swap of positions for fourth. Deserter goes ahead of Sarah Bovy again, so the 61 car now is the lead car of the Ferrari contingent. Still though, that 1-2-3 for the three Porsches at the head of the field, 2 from 92 and 91, 61. Then the 9, Sarah Bovy, 51 with Ken Arbe, and at the moment Rino Mastronardi is propping up this order. I cannot see that lasting, Johnny, unless that car's got a problem.
So Bone about to go across the line. Lertweiler's gone even faster, 1:56.218. Ralph Bone did a 1:56.3, which was an improvement for his car.
Indeed, pulls him up to second place and third, so it's a swap of position from the two Herbert cars. The gap at the top now is a 1/10.5, so it's under half a second between the top three, the three Porsche representatives, 2 from 91 and 92 now. All those three in the 56s. Sarah Bovy improves to fourth again, and a fairly big improvement from her into the high 57s, but she's still 1.5 seconds off the provisional pole sitter at the moment, with just under 6 minutes to go.
So gap fastest to second fastest, just 1.5 tenths. Then it is 0.3 of a second back to the third place car of Daniel Aleman, and a further second back to Sarah Bovy. But these gaps set to get even tighter, I would say, and many of them less than a second. But as we've spoken about, generally these sessions get quicker and quicker, rather than for the ELMS qualifying sessions we'll see later on in the day, where you chuck the pros out a lot of the time and they can just set their best lap of the session at the first attempt. These tend to be slow boilers, and the point is that it's offering the bronze driver more and more experience with every lap. Rino Mastronardi over the line in the number 8 car, and he is quicker than anybody else now by 3.5 tenths of a second. It's 1:55.877 for car number 8.
Yeah, this is my not surprised face without that effort. Yeah, 1:55.877 from Rino Mastronardi. The shiniest bronze in the elemental table here, although bronze isn't an element, of course. There's also a quick improvement there, just shaving a tenth off his time from Daniel Aleman. He stayed third, now fourth, as a result of that lap from Rino Mastronardi.
Mightily impressive, and we did say keep your eye out for the number 8 Iron Lynx car, so pleased that that did come to fruition eventually. Now 0.342 of a second is the gap back to Nicky Leutwiler. He certainly has more of a chance of chiseling away at that and maybe eclipsing it, but he's only got 4 minutes in order to get the right side of Mastronardi. Ralph Bone and Daniel Alleman making it an all Herbert Motorsport second row on the grid, with Sarah Bovey, who's been improving lap on lap. Speaking of which, she goes across the line and improves again. 157.438 keeps Sarah in 5th.
Yeah, showed another couple of tenths off there. Ken Arbe with a much better lap as well. The whole field now, or some of these cars, under 2 minutes on their qualifying laps. Remember, these are the bronze drivers. Frank Desertu leapfrogs again Sarah Bovey. He's now up into 5th with a 158.139. It's pretty tight between those two. Tight two between the three of the Porsches. There's still 3.5 minutes to go here. There's still time to be found.
So back across the line, Daniel Alleman, and into Sector 1. He does have clear road in front of him. The 92 running with the yellow door mirrors then, as opposed to the 91 with the red. I need to remember that when we get to the race start later on today. And I tell you, Alleman on the ragged edge there, coming out of turn 2.
And he's been consistent. That was his 3rd lap in the 156s in this session. And that will come into play, that ability to grind out those laps when we get into the race this afternoon, this evening.
Yeah.
All wide there from Nicky Leutwiler in the number 2 car. He's pushing hard as well. Noses a threat from behind from both of these Herbert cars. Just tenths between the 3 of them. Between those 3 cars, by the way, the 3 Porsches, just 4 tenths of a second.
Question is, did Leutwiler gain a bit too much time coming through senior corner? He was... well, all 4 wheels were over the white line, and although they were on the curb, I remember talking to Eduardo Freitas during the Red Bull Ring event, and he suggested that the curbs were not counted as the track. You still have to keep at least 1 Michelin tyre the correct side of the white line.
Last time around it was a 2:05. So it's an improvement in time there from Nicky Leutwiler, but is he going to be able to keep that time? He's now 2 tenths off Rino Mastronardi, who, by the way, big cool down lap last time, 2:05 against the 1:55. He's biding his time here, isn't he?
Yeah.
Looking after the car, looking after the tyres. Improvement again from Sarah Bovey, goes up to 5th, by the way, into the 157s. And again, shaving another 2 tenths off. And a further improvement too from Ken Arbe, stays 7th, but he shaves another 3 tenths off. This is what this session is supposed to be about for these bronze drivers.
It's running nicely to plan, isn't it, Graham? Yep. Sadly, as suspected, Leutwiler did have that lap time deleted, so the gap is back to 0.342 of a second. But as long as he neatens up his line coming through senior corner, particularly the exit of that very fast right-hander, I think the pace is there from the number 2 Porsche to go ahead, or certainly close the gap to Mastronardi. But 0.3 of a second seems like rather a big margin at this stage, particularly as Rino Mastronardi has been possibly gaining time around this lap as well. 155.877 to beat. Better middle sector for Ralph Bone on this lap. He's, remember, sitting in 3rd position. Across the line will go Rino Mastronardi, and it is a 150-something.
156.034, so that's the 2nd fastest lap of the session. He holds both the top 2 now, but 2 tenths off, or 10.5 off, his best time, his provisional pole setting time, with just 45 seconds left on the clock. Rino Mastronardi, this will be his last attempt at any kind of improvement. So if anybody crosses the line now and makes an improvement, he can respond if he's kept on the gas here.
Ralph Bone, with improvement through the middle sector, needs to stay off as much as possible the curbs at Virage Dupont. He will go to second for that. Yeah, 156.192, and that was all done for me in that middle sector, where he gained about 1/4 of a second on the next fastest car. So that Porsche is clearly very, very strong down the Mistral, and I think Herbert have deliberately tried to find some pace on that part of the lap.
I remember both will get they'll get another go at this one. There's still 3, 2, 1, and now no seconds remaining. And I think did Nicky Leutwiler, I think, may have got across the line and may well get another lap here.
That was tight, wasn't it?
It was very tight. Ken Arbe, by the way, a further improvement. So under 3, big wiggle there from the rear of the 2. The whole field under 3 seconds gap now between the highly experienced Rino Mastronardi and the rather less experienced Ken Arbe.
So Arbe running in the 51 Ferrari. Rino Mastronardi improving again through both of the opening sectors on this particular lap. So Not that he needs to find it, because he already has 0.3 of a second as a cushion, but this could be extended yet further for the Italian.
Looks to me to be significantly extending this
Yes.
one here. Improvement 2, by the way, as well from Sarah Bovey. She's under 1:57, stays 5th, but closes that gap right down to just over a second from the lead car.
0.3 of a second gain there by Rino Mastronardi as his final effort. So he gets the checkered flag. It's a 1:55.587. That puts him 0.6 of a second clear of Ralph Bone, who remains in second for the time being.
Yeah, just checking as to whether or not he's going to keep that lap, because that lap's shown up a little oddly on my screen. There was improvement there as well from Ralph Byrne. An improvement too, as said, from Sarah Bovey. So there's still times coming here. So 1:55.587, it is indeed shown as the pole position lap. That's 0.6 of a second up on what is the second place car overall. Front row car at the moment, the number 91 car for Ralph Bone, and Nicky Leutwiler's lifted off, hasn't he?
Bone second,
yes.
And to the pits. Well, we knew about Bone being in second place, but he's headed to the pit lane and obviously decided that final lap wasn't going to be anything special. Nicky Leutwiler's going to bail out of it as well. So I think that might just about cement all the positions, Graham.
I think that's right. It will be Rino Mastronardi on pole position, Johnny. Another cracking display from him. Not as convincing as perhaps we've seen in the past from Rino in this company, but didn't look under pressure there, I'll be blunt.
No, I think he might have appeared to us to be under pressure at the midpoint, and then he was able to pluck out a further 0.3 of a second that he obviously had in reserve, and therefore, yeah, looking very, very strong. Despite there being 3 Porsches in the entry, it's the number 8 Ferrari which is the dominant force. So congratulations to him. Again, a defending champion, so clearly knowing, well, this place very well, having visited it twice last year. And the starting grid for the previous race meeting also saw the number 8 car at the sharp end. Let's us get some reaction then from Hayley Edmonds after that great performance.
I'm joined here by Logan Sargent, driver of car number 8 for Iron Lynx. Well, what a fantastic start. Obviously, Reno's put you in the great position for the race later on today, which is obviously great news for you because it's the first time you'll be driving for Iron Lynx as well.
Yeah, honestly, it's fantastic to see. We've been really quick throughout the whole weekend, and he just went out and delivered, and now we're on the best starting spot for the race.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Logan, no stranger to the European Le Mans Series paddock, but fantastic that he could almost get double bubble this weekend and also be involved with the Iron Lynx crew. Pole
position setter, of course, last time out for the LMS
in
Red Bull Ring, but did test with Iron Lynx at the prologue test at Barcelona the start of the year. A little bit, undercover, that bit, but he did test the car. Not a surprise he's in there, and for me, the combination of Rino Mastronardi, shiny bronze, and Logan Sargent, that is going to be a very tough nut to crack for everybody else. Only driver of that lot that I think will come out of the session slightly disappointed, I think, will be Nicky Leutwiler. I think he will feel he didn't quite convert the potential he had in that car today, but it does look like we're going to get, I think, a reasonably close race in GT for the podium positions.
Yeah, I'm slightly concerned by just how strong that number 8 crew look on paper for everybody else. But they are yet to win this year, the number 8 crew. So they do need to start to get their championship on track. It was a victory for Nicky Leutwiler and Julien Andlauer in the opening race at Barcelona with Paolo Roberti, then Rino Mastronardi's teammate. So take Roberti out and put Logan Sargent in. That seems like a fair swap. So Rino Mastronardi and Paolo Roberti will start this weekend just 6 points back, but obviously Roberti will not score in today's race, which incidentally, I'm not sure we've mentioned, is today. It is this afternoon, as the sort of precursor to tomorrow's European Le Mans Series main event. So a 4:30 start local.
The hors d'oeuvre, shall we say.
Very good way of, well,
absolutely.
Yeah, perfect word for this weekend.
208 of Nissan's finest cylinders. And there's another 8 of them, just bursting into song as we get ready for these 26 LMP3 cars. Mix of Ligers and Duquesne. That's great to see here. That's the Team 4 car, the number 77 car. First ever international effort, and there's their invisible driver, the wheel. Gordon Gudmundsson will be, I'm sure, at the wheel of the car for this session, but the first ever Icelandic team in ACO Rules Racing. And what a delightful bunch they are with their Icelandic finish. That's with a double N crew. This is the 25 car from Racing Spirit of Le Mans. This is the organisation that until this year handled the Cool Racing effort, now racing under their own banner, and there are Cool Racing with their 2 cars. Black Falcon, great to see them here. One of the teams that are on double duty this weekend, of course, with the European Le Mans Series weekend, Michelin Le Mans Cup here in LMP3, and over in their home ground at the Eiffel Mountains, Johnny, at the Nürburgring 24 Hours, of course.
Indeed so, yes.
Good luck to everybody racing there today.
Well, yeah, massive weekend at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, but Black Falcon are named synonymous with that particular event. Great to have a number of teams actually associated with German racing around the North Loop, like WTM, Wochenspiegel Team Monschau, and also RLRM Sport. These guys, you have to remember back quite a long way, but they were winners at Barcelona for the opening race, so therefore lead the championship, and it was a really good performance from Mikey Benham and from Tom Foster, who were involved.
Yeah, always have to remember it's Tom Foster, not United Autosports team manager Trevor Foster.
Yes.
Rolling back the years. But morning, Trevor, if you're listening. Nielsen Racing, ready to go.
So there are a number of teams that with 2 bronze drivers in their ranks, notably Team Thor. You mentioned about Gordon Gudmundsson, but it could be Thomas Ashton as well doing the qualifying. That's a decision to be made. Otherwise, the driver combination sort of decides it for the teams.
Sorry, not Nielsen Racing. Must be careful. That's the AF Corsa one in Greek colours for Crichton and Dudis.
There you go. Right, so that will be the 31 car?
It is indeed,
yes, for Rui Aguas as well, Portuguese driver.
It is a great looking grid. We said it at Barcelona. It is a really good looking grid. You mentioned at the start of the show, Johnny, that we missed the Michelin Le Mans Cup cars in the Red Bull Ring in Austria. That's, of course, to accommodate the Road to Le Mans races in a 6-race calendar, or 6-round calendar, because these teams will be part of a wider grid. Those 2 short sprint races around the full Le Mans course. It is a standout part of the appeal, of course, of the Michelin Le Mans Cup.
And that is the one chance that the non-bronze drivers get to qualify the cars, because if they choose, one of those qualifying sessions is free choice to the teams, and unsurprisingly they go with their silvers or their golds indeed. No platinum drivers permitted in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. The reasons for that are obvious, I think. That's not the design of this championship.
ANS Team JSE Management, snappy name for the Swiss flag team. And
that's almost equivalent to PZ Aubert Zurich by TFT. So, okay, competing for...
just wasting money on finals. There you go. But this is an additional team for this weekend, and they are very warmly welcome to the Michelin Le Mans Cup paddock. Let's hope we see more of them as well. Classic view of that classic Paul Ricard, Pitsum and paddock complex.
Built in 1970, this place, so
looks it as well. But, in the nicest possible way. It just looks still very period, unspoiled.
I think if you'd taken a photograph in 1970 and compared it to a photograph from today, really the differences are minimal. Of course, though, the track surface has developed so much through those 5 decades, and that's the point of it being a high specification test track.
Coffee significantly more expensive now than
I think I agree with that. Yes indeed. But no, I mean, it's just fantastic for this venue to have Grand Prix coming back here, to have the ELMS unexpectedly on 2 separate occasions last year. And you know, when the calendar came out for the ELMS and for the Michelin Le Mans Cup at the start of the year, you think Le Castellet in June. I just kind of like that. Of course, it has changed date, though, because at the start of the year, we all expected to be at Le Mans in 2 weeks' time. That has been moved to August, and therefore created this vacancy so that we could all come to the south of France at the start of the month.
And it does create good sports car racing, good mixed-class racing at this venue, without a shadow of a doubt. So away goes the 66 Rinaldi Duquesne. It is a challenging circuit. You know, 8 mistakes. Whatever you think about what you see on TV can and will be punished here. Ask Nick Manassian.
Yes.
With a sideways glance towards his testing shot at the Peugeot 908.
No, I mean, there have been some horrible stories. I mean, very recently, Catherine Legg set for a whole season in the LMS and then had a testing incident just last year at Senior Corner. And, yeah, this place is as safe as it possibly can be. But if you have a big accident at turn 10, then there tends to be only one result, sadly. But Cat is, well, back now, racing, gone through the recovery period, and brilliant that she can be in action once again. So the field, most of it heading out onto pit lane. One or two deciding to be in that long queue of 20-odd cars. Not for me. I will just wait back and hope that the clumping of the traffic that we tend to get even in a 15-minute session develops, and therefore the cars can be released into a quieter portion of the racetrack. But this is where, you know, the two different versions of motorsport, first of all going for a quick lap and then tackling a 2-hour race, very, very different indeed. You don't have the complexity of having to deal with traffic, whether you're in a faster or a slower car. And this place just has the habit of developing a bit of a sting in the tail at the end of a 120-minute affair that we will enjoy later on today. So let's try and get you some drivers that have been given the responsibility of doing qualifying. It is Chris Cools for DKR Engineering in the number 3 Duqueine. Finn Gersitz, a real star for Phoenix Racing in his Ligier number 5. Jonathan Brossard in that A&S Team JSE machine, also a Ligier. Tony Wells for Nielsen Racing, car 7. Torsten Kratz for WTM, powered by Phoenix. We've got Mike Rosenberg for Black Falcon in number 12. Mikey Benham, winners last time out, RLRM Sport doing the qualifying there. Matthias Luton for Team Virage. Patrice Lafargue for EDEC. Mathieu de Babouat in the Mühlner Motorsport car. Mark Crader for Grain Market. Erwin Creed in the Mühlner Motorsport 21. Gerard Kraut in the United Autosports 22. And the sister machine 23 from the US squad is John Schauerman. Jacques Wolf for Racing Spirit of Le Mans in 25. Crichton Lentudis in the AF Corsa 31 car, the aforementioned Greek. Daniel Schneider in his United Autosports car, number 32. Michael Jensen for CD Sport, the Spanish team. It is Anton Duquin in the Cool Racing car. Steve Parrow for Rinaldi in one half of the Rinaldi team, and Alexandra Matchell in the other. Morris Smith, who was competing in the Ligier European Series last time out at Red Bull Ring, he is back with Cool Racing car number 69. Rob Hodes for Team Virage number 71. It's Pietro Peccinini for TS Corsa number 73. It is Auden Gudmundsson, as Graham suspected, for Team Thor 77. And Eric de Donker for the Belgian squad, Motorsport 98 in car 98.
And the mark of the depth of that field is it took you almost a full lap
there you go.
to actually go through there. We've got a quick spin there. That's the CD Sport car, I think, number 33 car. It is indeed Michael Jensen, Danish driver aboard that car. The two United Autosport cars lapping together at the moment, and bit of a switch around there. The number 23 car going ahead. John Schauerman, utterly delighted, by the way, with the efforts of the team last time out in Barcelona. Jerry Kraut just effectively waving him by there. Looked like he had the quicker car underneath him on that lap.
Yes, because although United didn't get the win, they did get 2 podium positions, with Jerry Kraut and Scott Andrews finishing second, John Sham and Wayne Boyd in third. So disappointing to a point, but they were in the mix, and they were less than 7 seconds away from the race winners eventually of Benham and Foster.
And in fact, John Sharman goes through and goes up into provisional pole position as Richard Dean for United Autosports looks on. It's 1:53.829 from Pietro Peccinini in the TS Corsa car. That's the one in the kind of heritage Team Lotus livery. Beautiful looking Duqueine, that car. Grain Market Racing in the hands of Mark Crader through in fourth. Finn Gersitz there in the 1:58, but it was certainly not pushing hard on that lap. I think we're going to see a much improved time from the young man in the laps that follow this one. So United Autosports and TS Corsa, Grain Market Racing, then Black Falcon, then Rinaldi, as Patrice Lafargue just pops in as the second man under 1:54. These times are going to come a-tumbling.
Yes, they do. Lafargue did well to find the gap between the 2 times that had already been set by United, John Schauerman and Pietro Peccinini. Mikey Benham up to 4th fastest as well in the 15 RLRM Sport car. He's just done a 1:54.5. Mark Crader 1:54.6 to put him in 5th position ahead of Steve Parrow's Rinaldi Racing Duqueine. So you've got 2 Ligiers, a Duquesne and another Ligier, and then the same combination for row 3. So 2 Duquesnes, 4 Ligiers at the moment in the top 6 spots.
Absolutely, and this is a formula, certainly in this qualifying format, where a lot of these guys racing against their peers. These are, for the most part, gentleman drivers or very young drivers. But gentlemen drivers, and they're interested in seeing what they can do on pure pace against their peers, and there will be a lot of banter post-session. Maurice Smith goes to the top of the topic in scoring, 153.440. Winner here last time in the Castellet 120, wasn't it?
That's right.
But that 153.440 utterly eclipsed by the youngsters who come through now. Alexander Matschel in a 151.597 ahead of Fingershitz, as I said. Big improvement there, a 151.865. Rinaldi from Phoenix, from WTM, powered by Phoenix, and all of a sudden, here come the Germans.
Maurice Smith and Matt Bell did very well actually to win that event, because it was after they were given an 11-second penalty as well. They were still well ahead of their nearest rivals.
Yep.
It's certainly safety car affected, I think wet weather affected as well, so one of those strange odd races that you just could not take your eyes off. We're hoping for similar this afternoon from 4:30. Alexander Matschel in the other Rinaldi racing car, also a Duquesne, goes to the top now, 151.597.
The spin for one of the United Autosports car, I just noticed.
Coming out of the final corner, was it?
No, it was towards around the beginning of the lap, but as the TS Corsa car made its way by. But still the 151s is the target. Mikey Benham, though, pops up with a low 52s to go third quickest.
So Matschel for Rinaldi, Gersitz for Phoenix, then Mikey Benham for RLR. There was somebody else making a bit of progress as well. John Schaumann is the spinning United Autosports car, Graham, that you saw out of the corner of your eye. Now shown stopped out on circuit. Somewhere in the early part of the lap, so I'm not sure whether that's going to cause maybe some yellow flags. It's not affecting Anton Ducas, though, for Cool Racing. That Ligier now becomes the fastest, and by 3.5 tenths of a second, a 151.250. That could take some beating.
Hot and getting hotter this session, and still plenty of time to go. We're just over halfway through. Antoine Ducas from Alexander Matschel, Fingershitz, and then, as I speak, the first of the Milner cars with Mathieu de Barbeau. Also in the 151s, 4-5 cars now in the 151s, because Torsten Kratz comes through with a 151.961, 7 tenths of a second between those top 5, but these times are improving more quickly than I can speak.
It's so tough to stay on top of these sessions. I always feel the same when we do the LMP3 qualifying sessions in the European Le Mans Series as well, because the cars are so spread around the circuit, and the fast ones are coming through every couple of seconds pretty much. Ducas for Cool Racing ahead of Matschel for Rinaldi, then Gersitz for Phoenix, and now Mathieu de Barboat in the Müllner Motorsport car number 18. Torsten Kratz, Maurice Smith, who a moment or two ago was the quickest car out there, suddenly finds himself in 6th place. That is illustrating how quickly this session is changing.
Absolutely, and for that one, Ligier from Duquesne, from Ligier from Duquesne, from Duquesne from Ligier, the top 6 as well. So the chassis well matched at this point as well, with these long straights. Generally have favoured the previous Norma. Looks to me like the Ligiers have dragged some of that back, but generally speaking, in the twisty stuff in the past, the JSP3 Ligiers had it over the older Norma, but it looks to me like the balance between these chassis are pretty darn good now.
4 Duquesnes versus 2 Ligiers in the top 6, but then Ligier make up for it just outside those positions. They're 7th, 8th and 9th and ready to pounce in the form of Maurice Smith, Mikey Benham and Matthias Luton for Team Virage. You've got Pietro Peccinini, who was a pace setter at during the first spell of this 15 minutes. We have only 5.5 minutes still to go, with Finn Gersitz still there in, well, he's moved up a spot, I reckon, to second, didn't he, on that lap?
So another rapid change around, because Maurice Smith went up to 3rd, I think, and has been shuffled back to 5th now, with improvements from both Fingershitz and from Mathieu de Barbeau. Now in 2nd and 4th positions, and the times are still on the up. We've now got 6 men into the sub 152s. Slow
for the pace setter. That is Anton Ducas, who is grinding to a halt. Now he's already got the time in the bank. A 151.250 sits there, but Is that a puncture?
Can't see
No,
a
I think
puncture
it's
on
just
that
dead
car.
stick, isn't it? It's almost on limp mode, the 37 Cool Racing car, heading through turn 7. So now Ducan has no option to go any faster. He's just got to really keep his fingers crossed that 151.250 is good enough.
Yeah, further improvement. Team Virage up into the top 5. Matthias Lerton just edges Maurice Smith back a position. He goes up into 5th position. So still it is the, albeit in trouble out there on track, and with less than 0.2 of a second advantage over Finn Gershitz. Antoine Ducan, it is in the Cool Racing 37 car leading this session. We've got 4 minutes to go. What can Finn Gershitz do about that?
Well, you would think 1.5 tenths is not necessarily easy for the young man to try and find, but they will be on the radio now at Phoenix Racing. There's a red flag out on track, though, so they may well be on the radio, but there's nothing that Finn Gershitz can do. 4 minutes left on the clock, and interestingly, the pause button has been hit as far as the clock is concerned. Does that give us an indication that there's still 1 lap left in this for everybody? Or are we close enough to call it as a result?
There's time to restart this session.
I think I agree with you.
Certainly there's time for an out lap and at least 1 flying lap.
Yes.
While we've got the red flags flying, as you can see, let's go through where that was, because there was a further changes just before the flag came out. It is still the Cool Racing car, though, 37, with that earlier 151.250 for Antoine Ducan. Now, here's the thing. What do the regulations say about a car bringing out a red flag?
Yeah, there is often some confusion about that, and obviously in other championships it's very firm indeed about you bring out a red flag, you are then deleted from the result, because those that are very sceptical would suggest that Antoine Ducan's in a very good position here. I'll just grind my car to a halt.
If in particular he has run out of fuel.
Yes.
And that will be part of a post-session scrutineering, of course. So let's wait and see what happens there. Not putting anything on Antoine
Not
Ducan.
at all.
Brilliant effort at 151.250. He, at the moment, a 1.5 up on Finn Gershitz in that Phoenix Racing car, the number 5 car. I think that will be the most frustrated young man in the paddock right now. Further, less than a 1/10 of a second behind for Alexander Matchel in the Rinaldi Racing number 66. That's the top 3. Muller Motorsports' Mattia De Bobo makes up the top 4 with a 151.709 in the 18 car. Then Team Virage in their 16 with Matthias Lerton, a 151.769. Tiny gaps here. And then again, less than a 1/10 back, Maurice Smith in the number 6 Cool Racing Ligier is 6th quickest. It's the WTM powered by Phoenix car, 151.961, just over a 1/10 back to number 7 car. Muller Motorsports' 2nd car, Parfumier Erwin Creed, previously a full season WC racer for Laber, of course, in the 21 Muller car. He's the first of the men over the 152s. That's the top 7, and there are a number of laps were deleted that time around, because the last time I looked, we had 10 cars that were under 152.
Right.
Now just 7.
Okay, yes, so and a significant chunk of those have had times taken away
That
from them.
included Mikey Benham, by the way, who's definitely lost a time,
Who
I
is
believe.
down in 9th position now, and had been as high as 4th, I seem to remember.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought I'd seen Mikey under the 151s.
Well, his best lap recorded
152s, rather.
a 152.212. That's the one that does stay firm.
Okay.
But that's 9th position for that car. Everybody else, of course, having to come back to pit lane and park up for, well, they don't really know how long for, but it should be a quick recovery of that Cool Racing Antoine Ducan car. Your point about fuel is a moot one, I will say.
Well, there's a quick way back to the pits from where that car stopped. So I don't think it'll be long before we get back under green flag running here.
No, you're right, because the Mistral Straight goes right round the back of the paddock, and there's a shortcut where you can cut through the Armco barrier there. So I agree that this 4-minute session will restart very swiftly, and we're encouraged by the fact that there's still 4 minutes on the clock, so we are going to get a bit more time. And if this wasn't intense enough to watch 15 minutes and 26 cars, we're now going to have basically a single lap shootout to try to improve. That car actually of Antoine Ducan won't even make the paddock. They're going to tuck it in behind the fire extinguisher marshal point, right behind the Armco barrier there, so that it is safely stowed away and then can be recovered back to the team just at the end of the session. But confirmation that Antoine Ducan will take no further part in the session. The question remains whether he will hold on to his 151.2 and therefore potentially start from pole position later.
Yeah, he is a duck that is sitting, as they say at the moment, if we can get this one running. And those pictures, by the way, will have been seen by race control. They see the pictures that you do, as well as a lot more besides, with a very comprehensive suite of CCTV here at Paul Ricard, courtesy of its history, of course, as a test track, as well as the Class 1 Grand Prix circuit that it most certainly is. Beautiful day still. Had threatened rain today, but no sign of it whatsoever at the moment.
There was the odd sprinkling yesterday, which certainly affected one of the Leisure European Series qualifying sessions. But no, I'm led to believe that it's going to be blue skies throughout, and I'm sure it's going to be hashtag blame Johnny if that changes at all.
Yeah, just making a note there.
I'm sure you are here, Graham. I mean, it's permanently on your sheet of paper that you bring to the commentary booth.
Just turn over the page where I did last time.
Went relevant. Fair enough.
Here they come.
Yeah, so great noise again as all of these 5.6 litre V8 Nissan engines fire into life. Duquesnes and Ligiers tumbling their way out of pit lane. We already have an order, but I think that's set to change.
Pluses and minuses, by the way, here. It does give the cars at the front here a reasonably clear run at it. But remember, they've had most of this session to find their own space on the racetrack. They've not got that luxury now. So it's going to be a rush to complete the outlap to see what can be done. It's something like, it's under 2 minutes at pace, but remember, it's 4 minutes to go. The really quick guys might get 2 goes at this.
Yeah, you need to be right at the front of the queue, but yes, it's possible. 2 minutes 51
it's going to be tight.
Seconds to go. So that's the other cool racing car at the sharp end, which must have been the first car
That's Morris
out.
Smith.
Morris Smith, who has been up as high as fastest, then dropped to something like 9th or 10th. He's now right in the middle in 6th position, but there is the opportunity for that cool racing car to improve. It's the Moulner Motorsport car next of Mathieu de Barbois, number 18. And the rest of them come through, including at least one of the Rinaldi racing cars, Alexander Matschel, yes, in 66. He is currently in 3rd place with the red-nosed Duquesne.
Yeah, Murray Smith, the very bearded American. Not a lot down beard for Maurice. I think he's been growing that one for a couple of decades, to be honest with you.
You're probably right.
I'm very proud of it too, quite right too.
And the COVID-19 mask hasn't got a hope in trying to hide it either. But it's it's a fabulous effort, that. I don't know how many years it is in vintage, but also, I mean, he's really been improving race on race, I feel.
And he's also
bolstered by that win here last year.
Absolutely, and a delightful man as well. I mean, another big wiggle there for the number 66 car. That's Alexander Matschel. He's clearly on a bit of a charge here. As we said previously, Johnny, some of these gentlemen drivers, just the passion just out of every single pore. And it's when they do get to the stage where they've got some success coming, it's what a delight to see it in their every expression.
Yeah. And Finn Gersitz, who I maintain is a real star of the future, just 16 years old from Stuttgart, and with already one race as part of the Michelin Le Mans Cup under his belt, where they finished 7th for Phoenix Racing back in Barcelona a couple of months ago. And Finn Gersitz, the fastest of our remaining runners. 2nd place at this stage, 151.406 was his earlier time. Alexander Matschel is clearly showing no shortage of intent for this final couple of minutes, but you need to really have crossed the line, well, certainly need to have crossed the line in the next 40 seconds if you want to get another lap into this session.
And both the 2nd and 3rd place men at the moment on pole position sort of pace. It looks to me like Finn Gersit's been the one that is most likely to be challenging here. Not be long before we can call that. Hopefully no track limits involved here. But Alexander Matschel quick, Finn Gersit's quicker.
Running 3rd and 2nd respectively in the session so far. 10 seconds left. Are these going to be 2 lucky cars that are going to get onto another lap? I think they'll just run short, actually. The 73 car about to cross the line together with the number 5 of Finn Gersitz. Clock is at 0. Gersitz does not improve. It's a 151.491 for the young German, so he will stay in 2nd place, at least provisionally. The other car was the TS Corsa machine of Pietro Peccinini, who crossed the line with a 153.5. He had got quicker than that earlier in the session.
I think Gersitz was balked by Matschel in that final corner. Not that it was deliberate, but I think he lost the opportunity to take pole position by catching the man in front of him. It's exactly what we said as they left the pits. That gap that they managed to kind of work for themselves in the the earlier part of the session just disappeared before their very eyes. So not looking at any improvements there. The top 5 or 6, Erwin Creed, I think, improved.
Just about the highest car to do so. The Mulner Motorsport 21 of Irving Creed did a 152.122. Tony Wells got a better time in that final effort, a 152.437 to put him 10th. And up to 12th position came Chris Cools in the DKR Engineering Duquesne, a 152.8. But yes, you have to look as far down as 8th position to see the first improvement. And there were only 5 cars going faster in that final run to the line. 66 Alexander Maxwell may not have found the checkered. No, he hasn't seen the checkered flag yet. So this lap will count. And the question is, has Maxwell left enough in the tank here to leapfrog Finn Gersitz?
It looks like he has,
or
you know.
quite possibly Anton Ducat as well. He's looking to try and find only 0.2 of a second. Well, the lap time suggests maybe Gersitz is within reach, as out of the final corner. Looks like tail lights flashing there, but that won't affect Maxwell's speed across the line. Alexander Maxwell's time is a 151.850. So don't think, no, he didn't change from third position.
DeBarbo did, 4th quickest for DeBarbo in the Mulner racing car. Maurice Smith, an improvement as well, 151.739. He goes up to 5th, I believe, in the final knockings there.
Yeah.
So it all happened there. By the way, I should say, my apologies, it was not Matchell ahead of Finn Gersitz in that last sector.
I think it was the TS Corsa car of Pietro Peccinini in the very deep, almost British racing green, sparkling livery on that TS Corsa car. But yes, it meant that Finn Gersitz couldn't quite offer the speed that he may have been able to do had there been clear road in front of him. So maybe a little bit of frustration as far as the 16-year-old German is concerned. But he only missed out on pole position by 0.156 of a second, and there may still be something to come within this script as well regarding the red flag and the reason why it was deployed.
And remember, these are either the equal least ranked drivers or the least ranked drivers in the pairings.
Yes.
2 hours later this afternoon, Johnny Palmer, to enjoy the ebb and flow of the Michelin Le Mans Cup. You'd almost say it's greater than the sum of its parts here. It just has so many potential storylines with the pro-am nature of this, with the inexperience of some of these teenagers, learning their racecraft in mixed class racing as well as we go, and then you've got the GTs into the mix with some stars coming through there. Can't wait, by the way, to see Dorian Pain in the Iron Dames car, another highly rated teenager who I know the team have got great hopes for, to see just how they can match up with Sarah Bovey against Rino Mastronardi and I'm trying to remember who's in that car.
Logan Sargent.
Logan Sargent, of course it is. I should say, by the way, this is not LMP4 leading the LMP3 car home. That's just that's the
It is
quad.
the number 1 car, though, I noticed.
Yeah.
The quad bike that has managed to grab the number 1 on its front, at least.
Good to see he's got the Joe Bradley helmet on there with the
Very
flashing
smart.
light.
Might have to come into the pits, though, with only one working headlight, sadly. But it'll be heading into the pits anyway, towing that 37 machine. The fastest car in the session, we can say. Anton Ducat, time was not beaten. But the question is that time going to have to be taken away, including, well, all the others that Ducat set, because he was the cause of the red flag? There may be mitigating circumstances, and we don't want to call that too early. We will wait with bated breath for when the grid, the starting grid, is released later on today. Very well done to Finn Gersitz, though, for setting a 151.406 to put his car in second position on the grid. But it was the 37 of Anton Ducat before those problems were encountered. He's sharing the car this weekend with Josh Skelton, the 37. And we're going to be hearing from Josh in just the next couple of seconds, in fact. So 37 does the business for Cool Racing. Let's get to Hayley.
So I'm down here joined by Josh Skelton, driver of car number 37 for Cool Racing. Second pole of the season, firstly, so that's fantastic. However, a bit of a strange situation there with Antoine Ducon. The car stopped. Can you give us a bit more information? Do you have any idea about what's happened? I mean, what's the next step?
Well, obviously the car stopped on the track. We haven't really received any information yet, so it's unclear what actually happened to us. So hopefully we can make the race later tonight. So we'll have to find out.
That's right. I was going to try and speak to Nicolas Lapierre, the team principal, but obviously he's gone to scrutineering. It's a bit complicated for him, so you have no more information with regards to that. Now, I do know, it was your first time in the Michelin Le Mans Cup in Barcelona just a few months ago. What do you take away from that? What do you learn from that you may apply this afternoon?
Obviously, it was the first race. I made a bit of a mistake, which was a bit unfortunate. The pace was very good. I think I learned from that mistake and come back stronger this time. Just be a bit more patient within the traffic because the speed is there. So we'll see how we go today if we get out.
Thanks very much, Josh.
Thank you.
Josh Skelton, the man from Cumbria in the northwest of England, and he, as he said, had pace with Antoine Ducan last time out, but they could only manage a 14th place finish. So, very entertaining couple of sessions there for the Michelin Le Mans Cup. 2 15-minute dices for the positions on the grid. There was a spin early on for Nicky Leutwiler in his PZ Aubera by Zurichsee TFT sport car. But well done, nevertheless, to the pole winners. We can say this at least provisionally. Cool Racing, a 151.250 for Anton Ducan, who set the time, and his teammate Josh Skelton. It was Finn Gersitz for Phoenix Racing, second fastest ahead of the Rinaldi racing car of Alexandra Matschel. Mühlner with one of their two cars fourth. The other Cool Racing car also making the top 5. Team Virage of Poland 6th with car 16 ahead of the WTM powered by Phoenix car. And a little bit further down the order, Black Falcon might be a bit disappointed with that. 18th spot for their second race of the year ahead of the Rinaldi Racing 55 and Edex Sport with the number 17 machine that will start from 20th position. And it was all about the number 8 car in the GT3 division. Iron Lynx and Rino Mastronardi took his time to set the best time of the session, but eventually was dominant. 0.6 of a second clear in the end of the next GT car, which was the 91 Herbert Motorsport Porsche, a guest entry for this weekend. The 2 championship leader for PZ Aubera Zurichsee car finishing in 3rd. We'll speak to you later for the race at 4:30. Bye for now.
Hey fellas, how are you?